A pale shape rises in the black water beside the ship, and it runs the full length of the hull. The man on watch takes it for a submarine. He turns the vessel to close in. The water sits a degree above freezing, the deck empty except for him. Before he reaches the shape, it slips under the surface and is gone. He has watched whales for years, and this moved like none of them. It held a line against the current, on purpose. The crews who work these waters call the pale shape Ningen, the Japanese word for human being. No body has ever been found. No bone sits in a museum. By every official record, the thing they describe does not exist. The accounts keep coming anyway, from new ships, in new years, and the shape never changes. Chapter 1. The Southern Ocean is the most remote water on the planet. It rings the bottom of the world, with no land to break the wind. Waves build for thousands of miles, with nothing to stop them. Storms settle in and last for days. Below the surface, the sea floor falls into trenches we have mapped worse than the surface of Mars. More people have stood on top of Everest than have reached the deepest part of the sea. For most of history, almost no one watched this water. It is too cold and too far to sit and study. The steady eyes belong to working crews on long contracts, and many of them sailed for one reason: whales. Japan ran a whaling fleet deep into these waters for decades, under government permits through the Institute of Cetacean Research. The first Ningen stories trace back to those crews. They were not tourists with cameras. They were researchers and observers who spent whole seasons at sea. A man who watches for whales for 10 years can tell a spout from blown spray at half a mile. He does not turn a wave into an animal. These were the last people who should see a monster. Then they did. Chapter 2. Most accounts begin the same way. A crewman on watch sees a pale patch low in the water, in the half-light of a polar dawn. His first thought is ice. He has seen 10,000 pieces of it. He looks away to check an instrument, then looks back. The ice has moved. It has crossed his view, against the current, holding a steady line. Ice goes where the water pushes it. This held its course, so the men keep watching, and the shape resolves. It is pale, where every animal they know is dark. It turns the way a swimmer turns, pivoting around its center. A whale just rolls. At the top sits a bulk like a head and shoulders. Below it, long pale limbs sweep through the cold. The closest accounts go further. They describe 5 fingers on a hand that opens and closes. The eyes sit in the front of the head, facing forward, the way ours do. There is a slit of a mouth. In the worst tellings, those eyes find the men at the rail and hold them. Reported lengths run from 20 to 30 meters. A human shape, the length of a freighter. The accounts split on the lower body. Some describe 2 legs, kicking slow and deep. Others describe a smooth taper to a single fin, closer to a mermaid than a person. Same head, same arms, 2 different bodies. Every detail here sounds like testimony from the deck. The story behind it began somewhere else entirely. Chapter 3. It began in 2002, on 2 Channel, Japan's largest anonymous message board. 2 folklore scholars, Felicity Greenland and Philip Hayward, traced it there. In a 2020 study in the journal Shima, they found the earliest post, dated May 2002. An anonymous user passed on a rumor from a friend tied to Japan's Antarctic whaling. The crews, the post said, had seen white human-shaped objects in the ice, hitogata. The rumor faded, then came back in 2007 in a fuller, darker form. This time, it spread by word of mouth. A friend of a friend had worked the ice. A relative had seen something and gone silent. Each retelling added a detail: a hand that flexed, eyes that turned. The reported length grew from 20 meters toward 30. In 2007, the Japanese paranormal magazine Mu put the creature in print in a feature called Antarctic Humans. Its writer, Namiki, pointed to a pale, limbed shape on a Google Earth image in the South Atlantic off the coast of Namibia. He called it a possible human-shaped monster. The picture was a low-resolution smear. Then an older sighting got pulled in to give the rumor a history. On February 13, 1958, the Japanese research ship Soya was in Lutzow Bay. Around 7 in the evening, a huge black object surfaced about 300 meters off. The ship's captain, Matsumoto, wrote up the encounter in his 1959 book, Antarctic Transport. The crew nicknamed it the Antarctic Godzilla. It was dark and covered in fur, with a face like a cow or a monkey, and it sank after about 30 seconds. That creature shared nothing with the Ningen. It was dark, furred, and animal-faced. By 2007, the legend had claimed it anyway, because an old sighting in a real captain's book makes a 5-year-old rumor feel ancient. Around 2010, the story crossed into English, the forum origin left behind. Every piece of the Ningen traces to rumor, borrowed history, or a low-resolution photo. So why can no one close the case? Chapter 4. The believers hold one real card: consistency. Different crews, different years, the same pale human shape every time. Never a tentacle, never a serpent. If this were only fear and tired eyes, the shape should wander. It never does. Many witnesses say they had never heard the word Ningen before the night they saw it, and the deep does hide giants. The giant squid was a sailor's tale until a body washed up. New sharks and whales are still pulled from the dark every few years, but a place that can hide something is not the same as a place hiding this. The deep can swallow a 60-foot animal in black water no one will ever visit. It cannot hide a creature the length of a freighter that surfaces beside a boat at dawn. Something seen at the rail is not hidden. A shape that size, around for 20 years, would turn up in nets and on beaches. It has turned up in neither. The plain answers hold up better. In 2010, the Enoshima Aquarium posted seafloor footage that fans flagged as a Ningen. On screen sat a pale lump with small eyes and a slit mouth. The aquarium identified it as a rock shaped like a frog, with 2 sponges for eyes. Other sightings fit drifting icebergs, which the Antarctic carves into strange shapes, ridges and humps that read as a head and shoulders. Some fit the beluga, a white whale with a round, oddly human forehead, though belugas live in the Arctic, far from these waters. The video clips have their own weakness. Several have been taken apart as CGI or edited footage. That leaves the witnesses and the way human eyes work. Pareidolia is the pull to see a person in a random shape, show a tired, cold crew, a pale lump in gray light, and the mind fills in the rest. It fills in a face. Without the forums, the borrowed sighting, and the blurry photos, what is actually left under the ice? By the record, nothing was ever swimming down there. The Ningen was assembled after 2002, fitted with an older sighting that never matched, then pinned onto icebergs and a frog-shaped rock. Its consistency reads like proof. It is only a story that traveled well, because once one man said human, everyone after him saw a human. That is the likeliest answer. But the sea down there is barely mapped, and it has given nothing back to settle it. The crews who saw the pale shape never argued the science, they just stopped talking about it.